Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I have invited one of the coding club member. His name is Hardik Pawar. You can go visit see his LinkedIn page. He is 4th sem CSE student. He's been active in coding and then also in the competitive coding skills. So I have invited him to talk about on a various agenda about for the beginners who are learning programming in C, and then those who are in a different stage or you have already learned programming in C. So I have asked him to address both these groups separately, in his talk. And then I have also asked him to share his projects, what he has done so far. And then, so he will also share his experience while he is talking. I would request you to go visit his LinkedIn page, go see his projects, it's there in the LinkedIn. And then about his coding event that he has attended, all these things that he has added in the LinkedIn. So he's been very active in coding club, and then I thought he will address you for just 1 hour, and after that I will just take 1 more hour. Please come. So it will be 2.5 hours jam-packed session for you. Okay, so from now on, every Monday you will have these kind of sessions, 1 hour from me, and then next hour I will ask either the coding club member or the senior student will be addressing to you on a different topic. Okay, so please listen to it very carefully. I have gone through his PPT. He has told me what all point that he is covering to. So I don't know how many of you know him. How many of you know him? Okay, good. So what are they?
Yeah. Thank you, Sagar sir. So to reintroduce myself, I'm Hardik Pawar from CS 4th semester RVCE, and in today's session I'll be going to give a comprehensive guide suited for all kinds of people, those who are beginners who are just stepping foot into the world of programming, and for those who already have their hands dirty and are experienced with the basics of programming. So my areas of expertise include full stack web development, machine learning and computer vision. Along with this, I do a bit of competitive programming too on LeetCode. The contents that will be covered on during this session will be introduction to C and the essential concepts in C, the roadmap for competitive programming and web development, and in the end some fun coding websites where you can practice your coding skills. And it's not mentioned here, but I also demonstrate my emotion detector project, which all of you can try out in your mobile phones. Yeah. So let us start with C. Now, why is C the first language that many colleges and schools teach in the curriculum? It is because it's one of the most powerful and widely used languages, which is mainly known for its efficiency and low-level programming capabilities. The advantage of C comes in the fact that it is very highly usable in embedded systems where memory is a big constraint, and also in developing high-performance, time-critical applications. C also forms the basis of many other languages such as the Python interpreter, which is actually coded in C and C++. Understanding a simple language like C gives you a holistic understanding of various programming paradigms, principles and functionalities. As the eminent personality Steve Jobs said, everybody should learn how to program because it teaches you how to think. In the beginning, if you are new to programming, you might feel that learning a programming language might seem tedious and cumbersome, but as and when you keep adding consistent, small and daily efforts, the mountain of despair, which is the program in front of you, can be climbed, and the view of hope can be cherished in the end. As and when you keep learning programming languages and different programming principles, the next one keeps becoming exponentially easy to learn, because knowledge is always interconnected, and the knowledge that you had in the past can always be used as a base for learning new future stuff. After some time, programming languages will just become tools in your arsenal. Like now when you're speaking in English, you don't think about vowels, articles, etc. You have a thought and you just articulate it. Similarly, after some time, the main intellectual hallmark that you will have is your way of thinking, the way you solve your analytical and logical reasoning. Now let us explore some very essential and important concepts in C. The first one of variables, which in simple terms can be thought of as labeled containers which can hold different types of data. The very basic data types in C are int to store integers, char to store ASCII characters, float to store single precision numbers, and double to store double precision. So difference between float and double comes when if you're making like highly scientific rocket science calculations. And at that point of time, double is the more preferred data type to use. Some derived data types in C are arrays, pointers, and structures. Arrays have advantage in the fact that suppose there's a class of 40 students and you want to store their marks. Instead of declaring 40 different integer variables, you can just declare an array of size 40 and store their marks. Pointers are essentially useful in assembly level programming where they store the memory address of the variable and not the actual content. Structures are somewhat similar to classes without the fact that they don't contain functions or methods. They're basically used to group related variables under one single bunch. At the right hand side, you can see the code snapshot of demonstrating various variables: integer, char, float, double. And the modifiers short and long are used to store, like integer only stores 4 bytes. If you know that the integer variable is not going to exceed a certain limit, you can use a short modifier and save on memory space. It takes only 2 bytes. And in case you're storing big numbers like mobile phone numbers, the long modifier is the way to go. So yeah, in arrays, there are 2 types of arrays, integer and character arrays. The declaration of integer array is pretty straightforward. The int a bracket 5 is the size of the array, which is optional. You can ignore it. At compile time, the compiler automatically figures out the size of the array. At the bottom is the various ways to declare a character array. The first method is the best one. It's called the string initialization method, wherein you can ignore the size of the string and the compiler automatically adds the null literal in the end. In the second and third statement is an interesting one. In the second statement, the size of the array is 6, and in the third one, the size of the array is 5. The difference is that in the second statement, there is a null literal at the end, and in the third one, there is not. The compiler will throw no error for having no null literal in the end, but when you try to display that character array, a garbage symbol will pop out. So it's not a good programming practice to not include null literal. Always include a null literal at the end. To go briefly through pointers, as I said before, they store the memory addresses of the variable. Here a is a local integer variable and p equal to ampersand a. Ampersand is the address of operator. It just stores the address of the variable a. Now if you try to assign p equal to ampersand 0, 0 is a constant, not a variable. So there is no address for constants. This will throw a compiler error. And before we had done a character array initialization for a string, there is other option of doing a character pointer initialization. The structure example, as I told, it includes a group of related variables together. Suppose there is a student and you want to store his roll number, name and marks. It can be done through this structure initialization. There are 2 ways to initialize a structure. One is the piecewise assignment, wherein you iterate through the attribute names of the structure and assign values. The next and more direct method is a direct assignment, wherein between curly braces you just give the data values in the order they appear in the structure. Now for the ones who already have experience in coding, this is the competitive programming roadmap that can be utilized for placements and coding contests. The first step is to pick a language that you're comfortable in. It can be either C++, Python or Java, though the safest bet is C++ because most companies prefer when the candidate codes in this. Python and Java are good alternatives too. The second step is pick an online platform where you can hone your coding skills. The most popular one is LeetCode, which is used a lot during placement preparations. CodeChef and HackerRank are other alternatives too. These might seem very intimidating at the start, so at the end I have covered some fun coding websites which not only give you questions, they give you before they teach you about the variable, the syntax of the code, and then they give you a question. So I'll cover that in the end. So at the start, when you familiarize yourself with the coding platforms, you'll often encounter cases where time limit exceeded, memory space exceeded, etc. That's because your algorithm might be brute force and it might be taking too much time. So in order to make the best optimum solution for the given problem, the essential skill is to study data structures and algorithms. These are predefined standard set of tools that you can use to convert the given problem to convert the given unknown problem into known problems. And last but not the least step in competitive programming is to practice daily. And this can't be stressed enough. And when you keep practicing daily, it will develop in your muscle memory and coding will become second nature. For those interested in web development, this is the roadmap for them. You might, if you watch YouTube channels like Fireship, etc., you know that a new web development framework gets introduced every other week, and this can be a very distracting thing for beginners who are just stepping foot into web development. So the important thing to do is focus on the basics. These three languages are the ones which are never going to go away in web development, and the trifecta are HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. In simple terms, HTML defines the structure of the website, the skeleton. CSS defines the styling of the website, and JavaScript defines the behavior of the website. Like when you press a button, should your form or data be sent to the server, etc. like that. Once you get the hang of the basics, you can choose either go for the front end or back end, and there are many frameworks to aid you in this process. Some popular front end frameworks are, one of them is Bootstrap, which is a very beginner friendly and intuitive framework which has a set of predefined and responsive design components. So you don't have to worry about your website looking ugly on mobile and beautiful on desktop, etc. This takes care of that. It allows developers to focus on the logic while it takes care of the consistent styling. Another popular front-end framework is React.js, which is developed by Facebook, now Meta. It basically segregates the HTML page into various components which can be reused. And the main advantage of React is efficiency through the asynchronous functions. Another advantage of React is it allows for a fast and seamless user experience. Now, for those interested in backend development, these are some lucrative frameworks to look out for. The one of them is Express.js, which is based on Node.js, the JavaScript runtime environment. It basically handles the routing, handling HTTP requests, data pre-processing, etc. So you don't have to spend too much time debugging and coding that. The next backend framework, which is my personal favorite, is Flask, which is because it is based on Python. It is a Python micro web framework, which basically in simple terms means it's lightweight and you don't have to do the hassle of coding everything from scratch. Its advantage is that it's minimalistic and allows developers to directly get to the heart of the problem and not get the time wasted in reading documentation, etc. So yeah, at the start of the presentation, I talked about some fun coding websites that you can use as alternatives to lead code, etc., which will help you gain knowledge and practice coding skills as well. So here is the video of it. So this is the Code Wars website. In the question notes, I'll pause it, and if anybody wants to give their own algorithm or methodology, they are free to do so. So the question here is, you're given an array of unique elements, and your task is to rearrange the elements such that the element in the first index of the array is the maximum element in the array. At the second index is the element which is the most minimum element in the array. Second max, second minimum. Third max, third minimum, like that. So in that way, you have to give the solution. So anybody has any algorithm to propose? Yeah.
We can first sort that array. It will arrange it in decreasing order, and then we can reverse it from
sort in ascending order, right? Or
ascending order, and then we can descending order. Largest
Okay, yeah.
Maximum would be the first,
Yeah.
and then minimum would be at the last, and then we can reverse the array from like last to first.
Okay.
From ith to n minus 1 of it.
Okay, and you want to keep repeating that. Okay.
We just use the std in C++ now to reverse it.
Hmm.
It's going to be like the last one will be minimum after the sorted array.
Yeah.
So it's going to be on second index.
Yeah.
So minimum, second minimum, third minimum, fourth minimum. The first one will be the maximum.
Yeah, that's a good answer, yeah. So the solution that I had done for it is basically sort the array in ascending order and then take 2 pointers approach, one from the start and one from the rear, and in one iteration keep adding the first element, last element. And if the array size is odd, just ignore the middle element and add that element at the end. I'll show the solution here. So yeah, at the start, just sort the array in ascending order and then make a result vector to return the result back to the calling function. And make 2 pointers left and right. The left pointer starts at the starting index and the right pointer starts at n-1, where n is the size of the array. And while the left index is lesser than right index, keep iterating through the array and keep adding the rightmost element to the start of append the rightmost element to the start of the vector, and then the left element to the vector. And then only if the array size is odd, it's an exception case, and only then you push back the ith element, which is the middle one. So yeah, this was one website, and when the coding cases, the test cases pass, you get this beautiful feeling. This is an error, syntax error. Yeah, when your test case pass, you can also look at other people's solutions, like what they have done. Like this guy over here has included the algorithm library, taken out the max and min element, and then the swapping approach. Like that, you can compare your approach with other people's approaches and learn from the best, learn from the better of the approaches. So the next website is Coding Game. In this website, there's a fun and interesting round called Clash of Code, where there are 3 modes. First is the fastest code wins. Second is the shortest word length of the code, like least number of characters. And third is guess the code, where there'll be input and output given, but no statement. You have to figure out the pattern and appropriately generate the code. So this is the Clash of Code event. You click on join a clash, and it groups you up with 8 other people. And then here is the fastest mode round, which I told you about. The given problem here, I'll pause it. The given problem over here is you're given an year. And then you have to calculate the number of days in February based on whether it's a leap year or not. And also you have to display the character about what type of year it is. And the conditions for which type of character to display will be given over here. If the year is divisible by 400, its type is L. If it's not and it's divisible by 100, type is H. If it's divisible by 4, its type is F. And if none of them is true, the type is N. So this one is actually a very simple Python if-elif statements. So I'll directly skip to the solution for this one. Yeah, over here is the if-elif logic. And once you're done with it, you can test your answer with the given test cases. And then when you're confident that all the test cases are correct, you can click on submit. So yeah, here you can see I was the first person to finish. And then when other people finish their code, if they choose the option that they want to share their code, you can compare your code with theirs. So yeah, this was my submitted solution. Going back to the presentation. So one advice and experience that I would like to share with all of you is that at the modern age, it might be difficult to focus on one thing at a time because there is a new technology popping up every other week, like generative AI, etc., etc. So what you have to do is take it slow and easy and focus on one thing at a time. And if you keep doing this for a long enough time frame, in no time you will have gained knowledge of most domains. And to reiterate, the most basic foundation is to nail down the basics and fundamentals, because if your foundation is strong, you can build anything on top of that and it will fall in place nicely. And the 2 best friends that you'll have in a journey of lifelong coding and learning is going to be curiosity and hunger. These have been the driving forces for mankind for ages past. So yeah, with that we come to the end of the presentation. I'm happy to take in any questions that you might have. So I can show the emotion detector project. Yeah. So all of you can take out your phones and go to this website, emotiondetector.pythonanywhere.com. So this was a website that I made using Flask. It combines the fields of web development, machine learning and computer vision. So when you scroll down to the website, you can see a smooth animation popping up displaying how to use the website. Let me know if all of you have logged into have entered the website. So everybody is there here? Okay, so at the bottom you'll see a webcam and 3 buttons over here, play, close and snap. Clicking on the play button will open the front camera of your mobile. In that, just take a first snapshot of your face, and bottom over here it will display the emotion. This one I've done in Sagas's office just for a trial run. So you click on play, your mobile, it will show a notification whether you want to allow the permission or not, and then click on snap. Loading animation will be displayed and you'll see the result in these 2 simultaneous boxes. I'll do one trial run now. Click on play, snap, and this loading animation will be displayed, and when the result comes in these 2 rectangular boxes, you'll see the result. So it's saying over here surprise. Yep. Let me know what emotions, is it working or not in your mobile? Yeah, if you give a smile, it will give that. Either that or surprise, one of them.
How many emotions you are talking?
Yeah, so totally there are 7 emotions. Okay. Angry, disgust, fearful, happy, neutral, sad and surprised. So if anybody wants to explore more about the website, you can explore the GitHub code base if you want to contribute to the readme file or fix any bug, or if you find an optimization and you want to contribute to that. If you want to see how the machine learning model was trained, you can click on the Jupyter Notebook link over here and explore that. And if you just want to view my GitHub profile, you can view it over here. At the bottom part of the website, it gives a brief description what this project is about, like which all Tech frameworks have been used, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Flask, etc., where the machine learning model was trained, the appropriate Jupyter Notebook link, and my GitHub link, and a footer at the bottom. So yeah, this was the emotion detector project. So anybody has any questions regarding the session or this project, I am happy to take some questions. Oh yeah, the database is downloaded from Kaggle, the data set. So there are 7 folders with these 7 emotions. So the folder name is the emotion name and the model is trained with those pictures. And one fun fact about this dataset is that happy and surprise faces have been trained in abundance. So most of the time it predicts those. And the emotions which have been trained rarely, like neutral or sad. Even if a person makes a neutral or sad face, it has a hard time accurately predicting that. So that is the bias in the model. Any questions?
Hardik, how was your first year? What did you learn in first year?
Oh yeah,
so that they can also relate.
So first year, to familiarize myself with various domains and find my interest, I took up various Udemy courses and completed them in various fields like web development, machine learning, computer vision, Python, Java and C++. And as part of our 3rd semester operating system course, I also took up developing a multi-threaded Linux kernel on Udemy. Along with this, the coding game platform that I showed you, I used to practice Python there extensively after each exam, every day after SE, etc. And that website has been one of the instrumental things in honing my Python skills. So yeah, my first year was mostly exploratory and exploring the waters. Now I'm thinking of going deep into something, but I'm interested in everything. So yeah.
How much time you used to spend for coding?
So I used to balance it out with academics and working out, because when the body is healthy, the mind is healthy. So after college, I used to decide upon a timetable, like what is to be done academically for that day, and when there is extra time, I used to do the coding. So it was a hobby which developed into a passion, and yeah, that's how it went.
What is your score rating in HackerRank?
My HackerRank, I have a few certifications. I don't remember the exact score, but I have 5-star in Python, 5-star in C, and 4 stars in Java. Along with that, I have Python, problem solving, and CSS certifications in HackerRank.
What did you do after your second semester in the semester break?
That's when I binged those Udemy courses. I did a deep learning, C++ and Python bootcamp in the semester holidays. Along with that, there was my uncle's marriage function, so I enjoyed that.
Like this, any other questions? He is exactly 1 year senior to you, and he has gone through first semester, second semester. He has done after second semester break. Probably he might have used efficiently the semester break. Related to this, any other questions? Yeah.
Why CP required? Is like CP required to get a job or like?
It's not mandatory, but it gives you the practice of pressure. There's a limited time frame, other people are competing, and it gives you the feeling of pressure. So when the actual interview or the placement round occurs, you're already used to the pressure and you can stomach it well. And also it gives you a nice way to think under pressure too. Like sometimes when you're at home and studying, you can remember everything, but as soon as the exam bell rings, blank. So yeah, it gives you a nice appetite for pressure. Competitive programming. Yeah.
What is the best way to develop your interest in coding?
I think for that will be like if you see an online product or a website and you really want to replicate that, there's no harm in completely copy pasting that, because in that process you will get yourself in touch with the technologies involved, etc. So there's a quote, right? The good artists copy and great artists steal. So in order to be great, you first have to copy.
Do you also start coding in like your first year of college, or was it like since like long ago?
Yeah, so in our school, I went to New Horizon Public School, if you might know, in Indiranagar. So there, since 7th grade, we had Java, which is considered a very verbose and a lot of lengthy language. So, and it's not a beginner-friendly language. So I was already used to learning that. In 11th, 12th, I had taken computer science. So there I had experience in Python. And college was the first time where I learned C. So yeah, from middle school, I have experience in that. And before Java, there was QBasic, if you might know. Yeah.
So after, like, what was like your timeline or roadmap? You first learned the language, then you did DSA, and then you did ML, or?
Okay, so starting was QBasic, then Java, then Python. All these are basically syntaxes, all the basic work, what works, classes, objects, etc. Then the main learning step was the Udemy courses. I just binged all of them and congregated the knowledge. And DSA actually I've started learning recently. What I used to do mostly was just brute force the algorithm, see the question and run the algorithm. I used to not care about time complexity, like if it's linear, quadratic, etc. If I find a solution, even if it's cubic, I should just code it. So right now I'm focusing more on doing less problems but doing them very efficiently, compared to doing more problems and less efficiently. So yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
All the projects you did in your first year were based on Udemy courses itself. You didn't try to make something.
No, the emotion detector one you saw is based on my own. And last semester there was for FCSD, we did a department project under CCTV Research Center, wherein it was called SPY. So the intruder causes an imaginary line in the webcam. The client will get a WhatsApp message pinging that this face was detected at this time, etc. And along with this, during my second semester, I had done a department project under Veena ma'am, which was based on incremental diversity. So we had to read research papers and see the flaw in their algorithm and code up our own algorithm that overcomes that flaw. So the Udemy courses, the projects were only for the learning the base stuff. Everything else comes from creativity and mashing up various stuff together. Like this is not one single monolithic tech stack. It has 3 different technologies used: web dev, ML, and computer vision. So yeah. And last Tuesday, I had done a session as part of Coding Club explaining the emotion detector website. Along with this PPT, I'll share the link to that presentation video as well. It's there on YouTube if you search. Yeah.
Thank you, Hardik.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.